Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl, the Brooke Ashley, and today we are here to discuss The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, Season 1, Episode 4. I know I'm a little bit late on this recap, but I am here, and just know the doll is ready because we have a lot to discuss. So without further ado, let's get on into it, okay? We start the episode off right back where we ended it, and that is at Whitney's 1920s prohibition party. It looks lit. Everybody's having a good time. We see Whitney making it rain on her strippers. It's having a grand old time. Jen is walking the floor, and she has this sort of smug, annoyed look on her face, and all the other ladies are kind of picking up on it like, okay, all right. They all sit down, and it's already awkward vibes off rip. Jen and Mary are sitting across from each other, and they're not speaking. Jen is awkwardly eyeballing Mary, and Mary's looking at her like, okay, like, is everything all right? They're not speaking. So Jen finally opens up her mouth and is like, hey, Meredith, can we just talk for a few minutes to the side in private? Meredith is like, yeah, sure, cool. Side note, Meredith's voice drives me up the wall. It's like, oh my gosh, girl, speak up, please. Like, open your mouth a little bit more, enunciate. Like, she has a dry voice and it's monotone and it drives me nuts, but I digress. So they sit to the side, and all the other ladies are kind of watching like, okay, I hope it's a good talk. Like, you think it's going to be some drama, and they're all looking, but trying not to be nosy, but still looking. You know, Heather's ordering her food. Heather's like, well, waiter, I'm going to have a cheeseburger and some chicken lollipops. I said, I know that's right, Heather. I love a good burger too. Jen automatically starts it off the gate with some mess. She's like, Meredith, I felt kind of hurt and sad and insecure when you ditched our sleepover for hanging out with your daughter. And Meredith is like, look, like, I just wanted to hang out with my daughter. She was going back to school the next day. And then we see Meredith say in the confessional, like, I'm trying to spare Jen the embarrassment because my kids were really annoyed with her when she came over, and they were really uncomfortable as well. So I'm trying to spare her the embarrassment, and I'm going to tell her like another time, just not at the party. Then Jen is like, you know, I understand that, but I also heard that you went to Mary's church. So Meredith is kind of like, girl, what? Like, what does that have to do with the price of tea in China? So then Jen goes on to say, you saw the way Mary hurt me and my family. Meredith is completely taken aback. She's like, we are not 10. And I thought that you guys both made up at my party. And Jen says, well, I only made up with Mary because it was your birthday. And Meredith is just kind of like disgusted and confused and just annoyed. And she's just like, I don't understand why you keep bringing Mary into this. Like, what is really going on? Like, girl, I'm just confused and I'm annoyed, and I don't think we should be doing this at Whitney's party. So Jen starts getting just really nasty at this point, and she is cursing, and she's like, you know, you need to be loyal to me. Like, where the F is your loyalty? And Meredith got right on up and it was like, you know what? I'm not about to do this with you right now. I'm about to disengage, and I will see you later. And she is pissed. Let me tell you something right now. I completely felt that because, one, we are at a party. You're not about to ruin my time with your BS, and you're certainly not about to curse at me. I will meet you where you're at, but there are some times when I will be a Meredith and I will just walk away because I'm not about to do this, and I'm not about to spoil somebody else's time. I find that to be very self-centered when people bring their drama and their issues to somebody else's event or party. It's not about you right now. And watching this scene really annoyed me. And it annoyed me on so many different levels because, one, if you accepted an apology from somebody and said that you were over it and it was all water under the bridge, why are you bringing it back up again and again and again?
Thank you. And you're going to always get it again and again and again because these bitches.
If you were still mad at Mary, you should have just told Mary that you were still mad at her and that you couldn't accept her apology at that time. To keep rehashing this and now to bring other people in this mess is just beyond childish, immature, and stupid. Jen, I say this out of love. You're making yourself look really, really bad. You're also inadvertently creating a fan base for Mary. Because now a lot of people are looking at you crazy and they're like, wow, she's kind of unhinged. She's kind of doing way too much. And why does she keep going after Mary? You're now making Mary look like the innocent, sweet woman. Mary has some stuff with her. We already know that. But in this situation, you are in the wrong and she is not. Whether you believe that her apology was sincere or not, you cannot deny the fact that she did apologize to you. And she said that she wanted to make things right. I just thought that it was so messed up of you to scream in Meredith's face. Then you have Lisa try to comfort you. And Lisa is like, calm down, calm down. Then you make that really nasty sideways comment about you're going to go with Mary who effed her grandfather. Yes, that's weird. Yes, it's gross. Yes, that whole marriage is a mess. But right now, the issue at hand, that has nothing to do with anything. Her sleeping, marrying, screwing her grandfather is neither here nor there in this stupid argument. And when you brought that up and then Mary heard that, that was really messed up. I'm no Mary fan at all, but I can acknowledge when something is wrong. I actually felt bad for Mary when she was sitting there and heard that. I know that definitely messed up the rest of her night. I have said it before and I will continue to say it. This channel is fair. Y'all know that quite a few of the housewives from this franchise have reached out to me before this show even started. And a lot of that is to get into, they feel, bloggers' good graces so that they are only talked about in a positive light and that people don't say anything about them. But I have to call a spade and I have to be fair. The same way that I drag other housewives from other franchises for poor behavior, nobody on Salt Lake City is going to be the exception. The way you left cursing and hollering like that's unacceptable. And especially to be a woman in your 40s. And this isn't shade, this isn't age shaming, this is what it is. At 40-something years old, you should know better. When you were screaming in the parking lot and cursing, were you cursing at Heather? I was so confused as to who you were yelling at. So Sharif gets there and Jen gets in the car and Heather is like, I'll talk to you later. I hope you're okay. So we move on to the next day and we see Whitney and Mary talking and they're like, what did you think of the party? And Mary is like, I was having a good time until I heard what Jen said about me effing my grandfather. And Whitney's like, yeah, I was so shocked by that too. What do you think that's all about? And Mary's like, I think that Jen is in a competition with me. I don't know if it's that. I personally feel that Jen is disgusted with Mary's lifestyle and is bleeding over into everything else. But then again, maybe they are in a secret competition with each other. Who knows? Mary gives me those vibes, though, that she needs people to be jealous of her. So I wasn't surprised when she automatically jumped to Jen is in a competition with her. Next, we see Meredith and Lisa, the twins. I call them twins because they look just alike. The only reason why I can tell Lisa apart, she has like a skinnier face and her voice is like a little bit higher than Meredith's, because Meredith's voice is so monotone. Meredith talks like a Kardashian, honestly, like a wannabe Kardashian, but I digress. They meet up at an art gallery. Meredith wants some new pieces for her new house, and she's looking at some nice artworks. Lisa just wanted to touch everything. She's like, can I touch this? Can I touch that? Can I touch that? And it's like, girl, they don't want your dirty little fingerprints all over their $30,000 pieces. Stop. So then they finish looking, and Meredith is like, Lisa, may I tell you something, girl? But you got to promise me, like, you can't cry. Like, don't get upset. And Lisa's like, okay, like, what is it? And Meredith lets her know that her and Seth have been separated, but they are dating each other again, and they're trying to work it out because they don't want to just jump to a divorce. Lisa starts crying because she's like, oh my gosh, like, I thought you guys were okay. Like, I would always ask you guys how you're doing, and like, this really breaks my heart. And so she starts crying, and then we find out that Lisa and Meredith are not only close, but their families are really close, and their kids all hang out and just love each other, and she just adores Meredith and Seth, so she does not want to see this happen at all. And she says that she's just praying that they work it out because she does not want to see that family be divided. So then the next scene, we see Lisa again, and she is on her way over to Mary's house. She gets to Mary's house, and it was funny to me how she was throwing some shade at Mary's decor. She was like, Mary's decor is a little bit, like, yeah, she didn't like it. She thought that Mary's house was kind of gaudy. It was funny because Lisa's house is very, like, plain and bare, and then Mary's house is very, you know, eclectic and gaudy and very loud. But, you know, are you surprised? I mean, look at the way Mary dresses and look at those wigs. So you can't be too surprised that Mary's taste reflects her overall style. But I digress. So Lisa and Mary get to chatting, and Mary's son comes downstairs. So Mary's like, this is my son. And she wants her son to tell Lisa how much he spent on his girlfriend's like birthday gift. And she's like, you know, tell Lisa what you bought your girlfriend. Tell her what you bought this girl. Mary is going on and on about how her son bought the girlfriend a chinchilla, and then he bought her a dog for Valentine's Day, and now he bought her a Prada purse. And it was like, Mary, you low-key love it because you like to, you know, flex your money. I'm sure you gave that credit card with no problem and were happy about it. But I digress. And then she is asking him what he wants to do. And he's like, oh, I want to be a fashion designer now. And Mary was like, well, I thought you wanted to be a doctor to help people. And he's like, yeah, I did, but now I want to be a fashion designer. And I thought that whole scene was funny. Can we all just agree that Mary has the craziest facial expressions? Like, she can never just look normal. Like, her eyes are always bulging out of her head, and then her mouth is always twisted. She reminds me of like a Simpsons character, but she's a very interesting woman, to say the least. So then her son leaves, heads back upstairs, and Lisa asks Mary what she thought about Whitney's party, and she's like, you know, it was cool, but I prefer more intimate events, and lets Lisa know that she wants to throw a really elegant and high-class luncheon, but she doesn't know whether she should invite Jen or not. So then Mary is like, I am just on the fence about inviting Jen. I feel like it's a catch-22. I feel like I can't win. If I invite her, she might start some mess. If I don't invite her, she might start some mess. So I don't really know what to do, but I think I'm just gonna invite her. So speak of the devil, we see Jen in the next scene, and she is at Heather's house, and she's brought over some sushi that did look really good, I have to say. So her and Heather are chatting, and Jen asks Heather about her dating life, and Heather says she's dating some cowboy or whoever, but she doesn't really want to talk about that anymore. She wants to talk to Jen and see how Jen is feeling, because she wants to know what was up with that outburst at Whitney's party. So Jen is like, I'm glad that you asked, because I'm actually dealing with a lot. Sharif is always away 24/7 and I'm lonely. And then on top of that, it's also approaching the 1-year anniversary of her father's passing. And Jen brings up the fact that with Sharif always being gone, he missed her father's funeral. Now, let me just stop you right there. We would have some serious issues if you missed my parents' funeral. I'm sorry, there's really no excuse for that as a spouse. There is no excuse for that whatsoever. Sharif, nobody's that damn busy. Coaches have a full staff, to fill in for them if they can't make it. And I'm not trying to speak ill of someone's marriage, but it's a little bit weird to me that he's always gone. I'm gonna need to see you at least 3 nights of the week. I'm sorry. I can't go days and weeks at a time just not seeing my husband. It's gonna be an issue. And I really do wonder if she has resentment about him missing her dad's funeral, because I sure would. All I'm gonna say is that just did not sit well in my spirit to find out that Sharif is gone all of the time and missed her father's funeral. I said, that's a mess. So they finished talking about her and her marriage, and Jen accidentally lets it slip out that Meredith is separated from her husband. And Heather's like, wait, what? I didn't know that. She didn't tell me anything. She always tells me everything is all good. So you can tell Heather's a little bit annoyed. And I'm like, now, Jen, here you go, running your mouth. And that's the thing about telling secrets. Don't tell a secret that you're going to be upset if it's found out. We get on over to the big luncheon, and Mary is setting up with her party planner. Mary was very rude to those people who were helping her. I did not find that cute when she was like, well, can you read? That was just so rude to me. I have heard from several of the church members who have reached out to me. I've also heard from her uncle that she is rude, and that she was also very rude to staff and their housekeepers growing up. And so, to see that behavior, I really just shook my head, because that is just that's in such poor taste, such poor manners for somebody who prides themselves on being so rich and well-to-do and affluent and wonderful etiquette. That was very rude to talk to those people in such a condescending manner and to be nasty. So we also see Heather and Whitney in the car. They are headed to the luncheon, and Heather's like, what is the theme of this party? Does Mary even know about the Met Gala? She's saying that this is the Met Gala theme, and I don't understand what that means. She was just kind of I'm just so confused, but hey, it should be a good time. Heather lets it slip to Whitney about what Jen told her regarding Meredith and Seth being separated. And Whitney's like, what? Oh my gosh, this is crazy. And I was like, see, Jen, when you open up your mouth, now everybody knows Meredith's business, a mess. All the ladies get there. I will say that Mary did a nice job with the table. The table looked really pretty. The restaurant looked very nice. The food looked good. I just kind of cracked up. I said, Mary just can't help herself, letting them know that I guess what the truffle was $8,000 a pound. And a little birdie on the streets have told me that you don't like to pay vendors. Like, she doesn't like to pay hairstylists or makeup artists or caterers. So I said, I really hope that you paid that restaurant. I said, you probably did pay that restaurant, because I know that restaurant would not even fool around with you. They said, no, baby, you're going to pay us this money up front. But I said, I said, you bragging about $8,000 a pound, but that attitude is sour. I digress. All the ladies sit down, and Mary insists that they open up their gifts. She bought them Louis Vuitton AirPods, and they were really pretty. I did like that. That was a cute gift. They all open them. They all thank her. It's a nice gift, a nice token. So then Mary's like, let's just say grace before we start eating and talking. So Mary starts them off with this crazy prayer. And I think that she left Jen's name out of the prayer too, because she was praying for all of them and didn't say her name. I said, Mary is a mess. You hear me? The prayer is over finally, and Mary says something to the likes of, she's a very guarded person. Lisa chimes in and gets emotional, and I couldn't make heads or tails about what Lisa was saying. So then Jen talks about her upbringing. She talks about how she grew up to be very strong because she was the oldest of 6 children. Growing up in Utah was really hard because she was like an outcast. She wasn't really asked out to the homecoming dances. She wasn't asked out to prom. She was stood up on dates. People in Utah viewed her as just different. They also viewed her as black because they didn't know what she was. And because of that treatment, she's just grown a very hard shell, and that's why she is the way she is. So she says all of that to say that she loves her friends, and that's why she's so crazy. And then she gives a blanket apology to Meredith and Mary. So Mary's listening to Jen. She's like, got it, cool. But what you said at Whitney's party about me being a grandfather effer was really cruel and just really mean. And they stop it there. It's a to be continued. We see the clip for next week's episode, and we see that Mary and Jen are arguing again. And we see that it's about to get heated. And we see that Mary's about to kick Jen out of that lunch. And it's just going to be a mess. So those two are about to be at each other's throats from the beginning to the end of this season. And there's going to be no resolve. So a mess. Salt Lake City is heating up. Let me know what you all think. I'm excited to get down in those comments with you guys and just talk about it. And again, guys, you all know what to do. Like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you guys later. Bye.